Ladies and gentlemen, does it feel like in the last couple of times when you're playing the games of white, you've been getting a lot of Caro-Kann defense, but still you don't know how to face it? Well, you have come to the right place. In this video we're gonna talk about with you how you need to deal with the Caro-Kann defense by playing two knights variations. Let's keep it short and get right into the video. So, we start with the pawn e4, black responds with c6, and there are many combinations you can try, like playing d4 or c4, which leads you to pan variation. But actually what we're gonna play against the Caro-Kann would be, first of all, it's a less theory, and at the same time, there's a very high chance in one of the variation that black plays a lot, and there's a simple like a trick that white gets a winning position. So we go for two knights variation. And this is a moment, as you can see, black has two choices, whether to advance the pawn and to take it. If you're around like a 500 and 1500 rating around that level, just let you know, when you play this sort of variation, sometimes your opponent can just play d4 and don't get surprised. It is not kind of scary. This move actually turns out to be inaccuracy because there's an easy way that you can win this pawn. And once your knight ends under attack, you will go to knight e2, you see it's double attack, and c5. Yes, it feels like he secured the pawn, it got very well defended, but now that's your target. You keep increasing the pressure by playing c3. And again, your opponent might push the pawn. I don't know why he will do that, but he will do that until he can, and then you will attack one more time to knight f4 and c4. And it feels like his pawns just go to your field and they're so well placed and it's stopping your development. Not really, because you got here simple double check, and as you can see, the opponent's pawns are just falling at this point. But let's go to the situation back to c3. What if just he accepts our pawn? Well, in this case, you also take back, but try to pay attention now to main thing. This is not Caro-Kann anymore. It kinda, the structure turned to be the Sicilian, but you are with the how many up at tempo. Your two knights got developed and you have much more like a pawn majority in the center at the same time. That's already like a good position for white here to be played. There is one more move I need to add besides that black can move the pawn whether d4 and a4. Black can also play bishop g4, and this actually turns out to be the main line against two knights variation with the black perspective. That's actually the best move. But again, I will show you that how you can deal with the bishop g4. Here basically you're gonna play h3 and usually the opponent will take the knight and you will take back. And actually it's already a better position for white, because you got the two pair of bishops and the rest of the position is just pleasant for white. You basically try to develop, first of all, your kingshead bishop by fianchettoing it, and then you will create the path for your dark squared bishop by controlling the center. So literally bishop g4 is also not a headache. You're just kicking out the bishop, and after some trading, you're getting this sort of nice development. But let's go back to the initial moment. So far we covered with your d4 and the bishop g4 variation how to play against them. But now let's take a look how about d takes e5. Because d takes e5, according to Leach's database, they've been played by almost 5 million people. D takes e5, that's the main line. And you take knight e4. And one more time, since you're playing with the white, there is not too much time in this video. I'm gonna discuss every move in detail that black can play, but we are focusing on mainline moves that people actually played a lot, and there's a very high chance that you can get them in the games. So bishop f5 here, our main line that we will actually pay attention in more details. But before that, let's take a look at another mainline moves, knight f6. Again, in a professional chess, knight f6 check actually turns out to be the mainline variation, which this has been played by a lot of strong chess players, grandmasters, even super grandmasters play knight f6 check. But besides that, here you have very tricky and interesting option, queen e2, which means why this is a queen e2 is a trick move. Imagine if this was a position of white, you have a chance to take the knight, which the opponent cannot take back because of the pin here. And actually when you take it, and he would be forced to take back with the pawn, and you can say then he's ending up with this sort of bad pawn structure on the kingside part. And that's why here, after queen e2, the most natural move that feels for black to be played knight bd7. And the opponent actually feels like, okay, he kind of fixed the problem, because if you take, he's taking back. But here's a surprise. Knight e6 checkmate. And I will actually tell you, I've been told this variation a lot to my students, and this happens. Even if you're like a 16, 1700 on a lead chess, the situation might look like this. So try to use it in your games. But how about if your opponent kind of like a smart, or he faced that before? What if he just takes your knight? Well, if he takes, you will take back with the queen. And then again, the normal development by activating the bishop, controlling the center, and even here black cannot castle because of queen h7 mate. So he need to develop the knight to d7 and you castle. So basically here's the idea for white would be what? I will show that with the arrows. You will develop the bishop, you will centralize these two rooks, and you can completely in that position focus on the kingside part, or you can just put then c4, have a complete control in the center. The choice is up to you. Alright, now it's time. Finally, we move to bishop f5 move, which attacks our knight, and we go back to knight g3. So bishop is under attack. The top move that being played by a lot of players here turns out to bishop g6. But again, before jumping to bishop g6, let me cover a little bit how you should play against bishop g4 as well. And after bishop g4, you can play h3. That turns out to be also a totally fine move. But we are here actually learning more about tricky variations, some sort of like a moves and lines that will lead you the tactics, and the tactics that you should be aware of when you're playing against a Caro-Kann. h3 totally fine move here, but bishop c4 even interesting move. Because as you know, in chess we have 4 main weak squares that turns out to be f to h2 and f7 h7, and that's your target here in this position that you can focus on. Because bishop c4 is kinda, there's a tactical idea we have in the next move. For example, what black can play? Knight f6 looks very natural that we played, and here we have two types of sacrifice that we can try out. Number one, we can sack the bishop and then gain back the bishop. But in the meantime, we are being an extra pawn. At the same time, the opponent has lost his king safety. And the next, another choice that you can try out, which even for me it looks feels really cool, you play knight e5. Oh no, my queen. But the thing is that people can take it, but they will be really surprised if you play this one, because they will like, oh, that's a free queen. Yeah, I mean, it's automatic you will take the free queen, but if you're a little bit experienced chess player and a little bit you're familiar with this sort of idea, you definitely go back to bishop e6. But I think you got the point why bishop d1 is a bad move, because you simply have a mate on the board, and probably at this point you will end your opponent's career. So that's why if bishop e6, you can just take and castle. Well, in this variation, you can see we didn't really want anything, but actually still, that e6 is a hanging pawn. By just playing queen e2 and maneuvering your knight to g5, you can still gain that pawn. So literally two variations that you can try out here. Okay, bishop g6. When you're playing any opening, you need to at least know one key idea or one key plan, so you can try it in most of the times, you know? You should be not out of like ideas or plans. And here in two knights variation, once your opponent plays with light square bishop, this becomes your main target. You should keep putting the pressure on it. h6, because you need to create the escape square. Anyways, we're gonna play knight e5, still bishop is the main target. But now once bishop on h7 in chess, you need to be flexible, and you need to be flexible to change your plans. Yes, at first the bishop was our main target, but now we change it to f7 square, because now it's left undefended. So black has to play g6. Other than that, any move literally doesn't work. Even queen d5 doesn't work because of simply here bishop c4. Game over at this point. So g6, bishop c4. Do you care about the queen? Not against the Caro-Kann. Because again, the same idea. If the queen got captured here, you got a mate on f7. So black has to stop your idea by playing e6. And now we have two choices, two good choices that we can escape with the queen, whether f3 and e2. And here's a better version would be to play queen e2. Why not queen f6? Because black has knight f6, and in this position still, white has just a good position on the board. And I have no idea what you can call this piece at the current moment. Like they go to double pawns on h-files. So queen f3 is fine, but queen e2 is stronger because it helps you to create your next target or simply your next tactic on the board. As you can see, so far the light squares are being our main target, and still we are focusing on that. And in this position, the top two main moves that are being played by black was bishop g7 and knight f6, and there's a tactic that could work out against both of them. Let's just say bishop g7. At this moment, before I go show the tactic, just pause the video and check. Maybe you can yourself can figure out this tactic and then play the video and just check whether you solved correctly or not. So bishop g7 is what sort of tactic we have here? Sacrificing the knight on f7, because that's the main weakness. King takes. If king doesn't take our knight, okay, we are just winning material. The best decision here simply your opponent can try to do would be just resigning. King f7, check, and checkmate. 13 moves. That was too quick actually. But how about knight f6? The same scenario here can be repeated. You again sack your knight, black king takes, queen e6 check. Where the king should escape? To g7, again, king is out of the space because of his pieces are just blocking his king. So at the end of the video, what can I tell you? Try to review these variations one more time on your own over the board. But not only pay attention to the moves, the variations, but I also want you to pay attention to key ideas, plans, principles, and tactical opportunities that you can have against playing the Caro-Kann. And at the end, as always, what I can tell you, life is like a chessboard. Sometimes you just make the right moves, sometimes you end up in a checkmate. But no matter what, keep smiling and enjoy the game. Cheers.